All right, the brake tapping buildup is underway, especially if you are eastbound 24. When you get over there to 40 east of downtown, you come to almost a complete stop before you start moving again. We do have one crash to report. Police on the scene, 24 eastbound at Shelby Avenue. That's going to be the East Loop, downtown eastbound. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day, I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
That was last night. Well, I guess it was early this morning, if you want to be technical about it. Donald Trump, making an acceptance speech after pulling down more than 270 electoral college votes. It was all over in the early morning hours there in West Palm, and he made his announcement. Now, since that has happened, he's picked up additional states. I'll give you all the details on that. But let me set a scene for you, because at Howard University, at Frederick Douglass Hall at Howard University in Washington, D.C., a large crowd has gathered, and we're expecting that Kamala Harris is going to come out and give her concession speech. Now, earlier today, she did talk to Donald Trump. She did offer a concession and said, congratulations on the victory. And talked about the importance of a smooth and peaceful transfer of power. So apparently that phone call went pretty well. This is going to be apparently, last night they sent everybody home. They decided that they didn't want to do it last night. They wanted to have, I guess, a prime time before the news comes on tonight, time slot, and time to perhaps ponder a little bit more about what they wanted to say. I'm dying to know personally what she's going to say. So we've got that queued up. It's ready to go. Any minute now, she could walk out. And when she does, we're going to go to it and carry that speech at least as long as we can. So hang around for that. In the meantime, let me bring you up to date on things that have happened. If you are just getting into your car today, as it stands right now, Fox News has not called Nevada, Arizona, and Alaska. And they have Trump sitting at 292. Now, all of the Nevada, Alaska, and Arizona, it all seems to be leaning toward Trump right now. Real Clear Politics has Trump leading in Nevada 51.7 to 46.6 with 89% of the vote in. Real Clear Politics has Arizona leading with Trump 51.9 to 47.2 with 63% of the vote counted. And assuming that Alaska goes red, that would take Donald Trump to an amazing 312 electoral college votes. It is generally said in the world of politics that if you get 300, it's a blowout. This is a monumental win for Donald Trump. And he says he's ready to try to bring back the golden age of America. Last night, we also heard very briefly from J.D. Vance.
And I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America.
I believe that is an understatement. I really do believe that what we have here is something remarkable. In the many political campaigns and election cycles, which I have been privileged to cover, this is the most bizarre. This one is the wildest. Things happened that nobody had ever seen before. It started with some assassination attempts. It followed up with dumping the sitting president of the United States for the vice president, and then a whirlwind campaign which ended last night. I guess about 2 o'clock in the morning, a little after 2 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time, when it became clear that Donald Trump was going to gather the Electoral College votes. It is a huge win. It is a big win, and the president-elect says he believes that there's a reason why his life has been spared.
Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission. The task before us will not be easy, but I will bring every ounce of energy, spirit, and fight that I have in my soul to the job that you've entrusted to me. This is a great job. There's no job like this. This is the most important job in the world. In the world,
it is. And, reaction on the other side has been at times bitter. Here is Sonny Hostin. I think The View today probably had the highest ratings they've ever had. Because I'm telling you, half of America would not spend a moment watching The View, but they did today to find out what people like Sonny Hostin were going to say. And here it is.
I think our healthcare system is now at risk. I think
no fluoride for anyone.
Yeah, economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion. I'm worried about mass deportation and internment camps, and I'm also worried about Elon Musk warning Americans to prepare for temporary hardship. I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed-race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Van Jones basically holding back tears as he described his feelings.
There are African-American women who know a little bit about being talked down to and know a little bit about having their economic dreams crushed, who try to dream a big dream over the past couple of months. And tonight they're trading in a lot of hope for a lot of hurt. And they were hoping that maybe this time, one of their own could be seen as worthy. And once again, they're facing rejection. And that hurts. They thought tomorrow morning they're going to walk out with their shoulders back a little bit, maybe able to breathe for the first time and feel like they belong someplace. They did everything that they knew how to do. And it's going to be harder than it should be tomorrow for them to hold their heads up. And they're not the only people who are hurting tonight. If you're a parent of a trans kid, your child's face was used as a springboard to power for somebody. That doesn't feel good. There are going to be people tomorrow, we're going to be handing clothes at the dry cleaners to people who don't have papers. There are going to be people who are going to be cleaning your teeth tomorrow who don't have papers. And they're terrified tonight. And so it's easy to blow this off. Oh, look at the elites. They're going to get their comeuppance. It's not the elite that's going to pay the price. It's people who woke up this morning with a dream and are going to bed with a nightmare. And those people deserve to be respected and held and talked to. Those are the people who are going to pay the price for whatever Donald Trump decides to do.
Well, they're going to pay the price. Well, a lot of overwrought angst there. It has been rather quiet today on the streets of America. I mean, a lot of people were worried about what might happen, but it was a very relatively calm day. And I guess a lot of people are now waiting to find out what Kamala Harris has to say as she addresses the nation. While we're waiting on that out of Howard University in Washington, D.C., let me talk about the other two bodies of Congress. We now have a Republican-controlled Senate. The Senate Republicans have picked up 3 seats. That means it is 52-48 as it stands right now. If there were a tie, it would be broken by J.D. Vance, who will become the vice president of the United States. The House is a little bit less clear. You need 218 votes to control the House. As it stands at this moment, Republicans have gathered 210. They are 8 short, but many, many races to be called. Not at all clear how it might go. I have that the House has picked up, the Republicans have picked up 4 seats thus far, but there are many, many, many races as yet undecided. As I told you, a lot of these congressional races, it will take time. Many of them are out west that we're waiting on, and it's just going to be a slow process. So the story that I have here from CNBC says House majority still in play as Republicans eye a red sweep. The race to control the House is undecided. Republicans are already sharing early optimism about securing a government trifecta with their new Senate majority and freshly minted President-elect Donald Trump. As more results come in, it is clear that we have predicted all along, Republicans are poised to have unified government in the White House, the Senate, and the House, says Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson in a statement on Wednesday. The early confidence comes as Republicans need to win 13 more seats to maintain their majority, while Democrats need 37 to flip control. According to NBC News Race Tracker, 21 key House districts remain uncalled. The other 26 are far unlikely to be flipped. So it is close. We'll see what happens. We'll watch it very closely. But wouldn't that be something? A Republican White House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House of Representatives. It would be a rare opportunity to really push through a lot of things that could make things better for Americans. And, we have had this before, and the opportunity was squandered. When a president comes into office, they have their very best chance in the early going, the first 6 months, to get big things accomplished. And if you're going to get them accomplished, it happens very quickly. In the past, the opportunity when all 3 bodies were controlled by Republicans was squandered. And I think that, I hope that the House and the Senate are red, and I hope that they don't squander it. And I hope that they take time to make sure that they are doing, the people's business and not trying to even scores. Yeah, we don't need to be spending a lot of time, evening the score. There's some things, of course, that need to be undone. And I think that will happen. I think a lot of things can happen by executive order in the early going of the Trump White House. But really, we ought to have a certified plan, everybody pulling in the same direction, and then just run the table and see if you can get it across the goal line. It's going to be a very interesting time. We are in transition now. I put up one word of warning. Sure, it's a great day for us. Let's all on our side, let's celebrate what has happened. Let's do it with humility. Let's do it without antagonizing the other side. I don't think that's helpful. Just be gracious winners and go forward and have a plan. But remember, one of the most dangerous things that can happen in the world of politics has now happened. Between now and January 20th, we have a lame duck administration. And this president has shown a particular penchant for, pushing through things with executive order without going to Congress. I hope that he would not do that, but we have many, Democrats in control right now in the United States Senate, all the way until the new Congress is seated at the first of the year. I am hoping that they move cautiously. But we need to be watching very, very closely the lame duck administration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We will come right back to you, even if we're in commercial break. We will break back in if Kamala Harris comes out in the next few minutes. Right now, 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Restoration Wellness is a leader in advanced therapy treatments for arthrosis and chronic pain in Middle Tennessee. Chronic pain affects 20% of all adults in the U.S., and chronic pain increases with age, affecting nearly 50% of all adults over the age of 65. Do not let your chronic pain control your life. Restoration Wellness has the newest technology in joint injections, a minimally invasive treatment to relieve pain without needing surgery. Restoration Wellness joint injection treatment can help relieve anything from shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, and everything in between. They put together personalized treatment plans specific to your needs with an in-office consultation. And let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals this year. Call them at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, Restoration Wellness Med Spa, to book a consultation today. You're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, who will take great care of you like you're part of the family. So say goodbye to your chronic pain and get a new lease on life. Don't let chronic pain control your life.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 25 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We are expecting any moment now that Kamala Harris will walk to the podium there in Washington, D.C., and address the audience that is gathered there, offering her concession speech. She has walked out. She is being greeted by a young crowd, and let's listen in to the Vice President of the United States.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting. To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials, I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran, and the way we ran it, Over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future. And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people a fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is, I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain, and yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service. HU. And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Vice President Kamala Harris from Howard University in Washington, D.C., speaking to many people who have gathered there, young people in the crowd, giving her her concession speech, saying that, you know, she wanted to pledge a peaceful transfer of power, but also not standing away from any of the things that she has stood for. Very ironic to hear such, you know, flowery language coming from a woman who just a few days ago was describing her opponent as basically Hitler and the supporters as Nazis. But we're moving on. We will come back in just a moment. While we were listening to that, we have pushed way beyond our newscast. So here's Ken Weaver with the news at 37 minutes past the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Now, that's a large crowd at Howard University where Vice President Kamala Harris just conceded the election to President-elect Donald Trump. Trump posted a better-than-expected showing among voters in the 7 key battleground states, including the must-win state of Pennsylvania. ABC News exit polling shows that Trump performed well with union households and minorities and that the economy was top of mind. Selena Wang, what you say?
The Democratic Party, they're going to have to do a lot of soul searching because this election has shown critical coalitions move to the right, especially when it comes to Latino voters, when it comes to black voters. And there's a lot of discussion now about how to move forward from here.
Well, right now in Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee and legislative leaders are moving forward with another run at school vouchers. This morning, they announced the Education Freedom Act of 2025. Lee says will allow every Tennessee family to choose the educational path that best fits their child's needs. Firefighters in Southern California are hard at work containing 2 fires that are threatening homes and cars in a heavily populated area. The Mountain Fire in Ventura County has already burned several homes. Several people have been hurt. Ashley Mackey of ABC News, TV affiliate KABC, near the fire line with more.
Fire crews have been out here, and Captain told me earlier that they'll be out here all night. Right now, they call this the mop-up crew. People are working hard with the chainsaws, the firefighters with the hoses. What they're trying to do is eliminate any fuel that may be present for these winds to spark back up this fire.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Just what we don't need on our way home. We've got a crash 24 westbound in Whites Creek. It is blocking the left lane right after Old Hickory Boulevard. I-40 West at Charlotte Pike got a crash reported by police there in Hillwood. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 45 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. What an eventful, last 24 hours it has been. At this time yesterday, we were trying to figure out what might happen. And as we are here 24 hours later, we have Trump as the president-elect, Kamala Harris offering a concession speech. Chris, you said that member Nutrition Super Text line folks were putting comments in the line saying they thought that was a pretty good speech by the Vice President of the United States.
Yeah, quite a few saying that that was the best speech that she had given, and I tend to possibly agree with that. I thought it was a fairly good speech.
It was a good speech. I mean, she said the right words. She conceded. Yeah. She promised that there would be a peaceful transfer of power, which of course you want to hear. Setting the tone for how things will go forward, but then she did not back away from the issues that she feels strongly about, and basically at the end of it, encouraged people who supported her to continue to fight for those things. She
did use that word "fight" quite a lot.
Yeah, he did, and so there is that. That's got to be the hardest thing that any politician has to do. Well, I mean, she has one more task that will be more difficult. And that will be on January 6th when she sits in the well of the House of Representatives and is required to certify the votes of this past election. It doesn't look like we're going to have a bunch of lawsuits. It is such an overwhelming win. I think Matt Murphy had it right. It was too big to a win for them to quibble. To bring little lawsuits that would not eventually change the outcome of the election, and nothing going on out there could possibly do that. The win was that big, and that's remarkable, really, quite frankly. And then, the other thing is that I think that from what I've been reading, and I'll get into this a little later in the program, there is a sense that with this win in such a big fashion, that Democrats will walk away from some of these lawsuits that they have filed against Donald Trump, and a lot of that stuff will evaporate. We'll talk about that a little bit more and what that means as we go forward. But, for her to sit in the well and to have to accept the results of the election and do her job, which is basically just to certify the election as the vice president, will be one of the hardest things. Then, I think she vanishes largely. I mean, we don't think much about our former vice presidents. We don't really spend a lot of time thinking about people who have run for the office of the presidency and have lost, do we? I mean, we don't spend a lot of time thinking about Al Gore, Michael Dukakis. I could go on. I mean, we don't even think a lot much about Mitt Romney, and those folks. So she will fade from people's memories. And then it'll be interesting. As it stands right now, there is a very, very good chance that we will have a situation where Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and potentially, it's still early to call this one, but potentially the House of Representatives. We'll see how that all plays out. But I got to tell you, a remarkable opportunity. The people have spoken in a very forceful way, and so far, I am very pleased to see that the response to this election has been joyous on our side, and at least nothing has been ugly about the response on the other side thus far. I mean, there's bitter tears being cried, even in the crowd. They were close-ups of people who were brought to tears by the comments of Kamala Harris. But the emotions will fade and people will put their head down and life will go on. And this is a good time for us as long as we can get through the time between now and January 20th without any big issues coming up. So, I mean, this is a very interesting time. We'll take a break right here and do a commercial break. And when we come back, we'll give you the market report. And then after that, after we get to the news with Ken Weaver again, I would like to open the phone lines and hear a couple of things from you. Number one, why did Trump win? What do you think was the factor? And why did Kamala lose? And are the thoughts there? I want to hear a lot from you today. So if you want to get on the phone line early, we'll come back at about 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock with that. 50 minutes past the hour now of 3 o'clock. Okay, with everything that's going on right now, you may wonder, how is your money going to be affected? Your investment, your retirement? Well, you're not alone. There are steps you can take to be better positioned regardless of the outcome of politics. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter who the president is, you have a plan that keeps your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free retirement ready toolkit just for you. You'll get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. Call this number, 615-488-9303, to get your free Retirement Ready Toolkit. That's at 615-488-9303.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
We'll let you hear some of Vice President Kamala Harris' concession speech from Howard University. And more at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wow, have you seen the market indices today? I mean, goodness gracious, they like what happened overnight. Dow Jones Industrials went up 3.5%, 1,508 points at the end of the day. S&P went up 146, that's about 2.5%. The NASDAQ up 544 points, that's just a hair under 3%. A lot of, well, you can't even describe it, it's so green. Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management to talk about what's going on with this. Hello, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, there's no way around that. The markets like certainty, and certainly the nation sent a message last night, and this is referred to obviously as the Trump trade. All three major indexes closed at records, and of course there's a lot of optimism that President Trump is going to bring in lower regulations, lower inflation that everybody's been struggling with, and have a pro-growth economy. But it's very rare that you see days like that. Elon Musk certainly probably likes his support of President Trump. Tesla was up over 14% today, so that was pretty amazing. Now what the market's going to do is turn their attention to tomorrow, where the Fed's going to announce the next rate decision. Widely expected that rates are going down a quarter point. The market will probably like that, so the rally may continue tomorrow, but just an incredible day on the market today.
All right, thank you very much, John. And find out about all the things that John Maxon and the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. When we come back after the news, nothing but your phone calls. Why did Trump win? Why did Kamala lose? The phone lines are open at 615-737-9986. You know, Eurofix has a very different business model and philosophy. They staff all of their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop. So, they want to be ready when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair? Some dealers, it can be more than 2 weeks just to get an appointment. But not at Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999, plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car now. If you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the shop, why don't you call Eurofix? Owner Aaron Stokes says we will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away and do it now. Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repairs when others can't or just won't. Family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, full forecast, and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Election 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris from Howard University conceding to President-elect Donald Trump.
We must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
Trump posted a better-than-expected showing among voters in the 7 key battleground states, including the must-win state of Pennsylvania. ABC News contributor and former North Dakota Senator Heidi Heitkamp says Democrats need to rethink their messaging moving forward.
People will say that they don't believe experts anymore. And that a lot of that is tied up with how people feel about science. But what do Democrats say when they want you to believe in their economic message? Oh, 20 Nobel laureates think this is a great idea. Well, people don't care if it's affecting their pocketbook.
ABC News exit polling shows that Trump performed well with union households and minorities and that the economy was top of mind for a large percentage of the electorate. Here in Nashville, Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac says Mayor Freddie O'Connell isn't wasting any time on his transit sales tax increase victory. Part of the way Metro plans to pay for a 24/7 bus service and transfer stations across Metro, among other things.
Starting today, the city is setting up an advisory committee, making sure Nashville neighbors get involved as projects begin.
Today, we'll get really moving on an issue that impacts us all, no matter where you live in the city or what you earn. And we're moving forward together. Thank you, Nashville, for your trust. While we've been talking about this for a long time, our congestion has been building. The price to fix it has gotten more expensive, along with the cost of living.
Now, this is a 15-year plan, but the mayor says we can expect to see some initial changes, such as adding more sidewalks and upgrading the traffic signals within the next year.
There's a new hurricane in the Gulf hitting portions of Cuba today. We get more from ABC News senior meteorologist Melissa Griffin.
Hurricane Rafael has now become a Category 3 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 115 miles per hour as it makes landfall in western Cuba today. It's expected to bring life-threatening storm surge, damaging hurricane-force winds, up to a foot of rain, which would cause flash flooding and mudslides to portions of western Cuba through tonight as it makes its way across the island.
Extreme Santa Ana winds blowing in Southern California, 100-mile-per-hour wind threatening the area, fires exploding in Malibu and Ventura County, some homes burning. Already some injuries. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, east and westbound 40 is very slow go between 24 and then 40 and 65 west of downtown. Westbound 24 got a crash at White's Creek that is backing things up all the way to the 65 split. Looks like the westbound left lane is blocked, and so is the left shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Boy, what a difference a day makes. We are, about, 18 hours past where the election was won by Donald Trump. Don't hold me to that number, but you know how I am with numbers. But anyway, it happened last night about, 1 o'clock our time. And just a few moments ago, we had Kamala Harris giving her concession speech, and it was as gracious as these things can be, saying that she would work with Trump for a peaceful transfer of power. That's really more on Joe Biden's watch than hers, but one way or the other, she said that's what's going to happen, and she stood by the things that she fought for in the campaign and asked the people who supported her to continue. But it's over. Look, there's still a few more states to be called, but, it looks as if at this point that Donald Trump will walk away with 312 electoral college votes. Anything above 300 is considered sort of a landslide, if you will. And so my question for you, and we have the phone lines open at 615-737-9986. What do you think happened that helped Donald Trump win, and why do you think Kamala Harris lost? I'm going to play one soundbite before we go to the phones. David Axelrod from the archives here at the Drive. I pulled this one out of the file, and this is something that David Axelrod said he noticed back in the campaign. I think this was a determinative moment.
One of the things that says to me that she hasn't entirely internalized the strategic elements of the campaign and where it's at is the answer on the View about what she would do differently.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
There are many, many ways she could have answered that question without looking like she was running away from Biden. Yeah. But the answer she gave was uniquely bad.
Yeah, it was uniquely bad, and that may have been one of the determining, well, what are you doing if you're not going to make things better? A great point. And it happened on The View, nonetheless. All right, phone lines open, 615-737-9986. Dan, in Watertown. Dan, you're on with Brian on the Drive. Why do you think Donald Trump won, and why do you think she lost?
Well, here's my opinion. One thing that Donald Trump said, same thing Ronald Reagan said in 1984. Are you better today than you were 4 years ago? And I think the people resoundingly said, no, I'm not.
Yeah, okay. And I think that's really it. I mean, if you really want to get down to the basic point of it all, people didn't like the way the economy was working for them. And if you were honest about answering that question, you had to say, no, I am not better off than I was during the time that President Trump was president. And I'd like to go back to those days. I think that is a really good one. Dan, thanks for the call. Amy in Gallatin, you're up next. Why do you think Trump won, and why do you think Kamala lost?
I've had a lot of time to think about it and process it. Thanks, Brian. The first, like the previous caller, I totally agree that, President Trump, he was out there, and the whole time we were definitely better off the last 4 years, and he wasn't afraid to speak his mind or appease a different party. Like it or hate him for it, he spoke how he truly felt, and there was no BS with him. And we actually had a great 3.5 years of Trump. Now, Harris, the problem was, I think the biggest reason she lost, and being a woman, I had an unplanned pregnancy, and, I don't know what to do, and there's a lot of women that are scared out there. But the truth is there's a lot of options. But that is not a reason to sink the ship because of one thing. What does it matter if I can't feed my family and my husband gets employed, but I can still have an abortion? It just doesn't hold weight in water. But the fact that she just dodged so many questions and refused to answer anything, nobody knows where she stands for. And I'm a former California refugee, and I know firsthand what she's done.
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard to figure out.
It
was hard to find out what her positions were because she would weasel out of answering any question that was difficult. She would just fall back to, I'm from the middle class. I mean, it became a sort of a laugh line. She went to it all the time. She had her little talking points, and you couldn't rattle her out of it. You couldn't get her to say anything beyond that. And if she didn't want to answer the question, she would just give you, the word salad. Amy, thank you. Kimberly from Murfreesboro, you're up next on The Drive. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are just what those two just said. And also, in 2020, the Republican Party as a whole, we all felt that pain from Donald Trump losing, but not only losing, having an entire election stolen from him, and I don't care how many people think I'm crazy. I saw last night, and I stayed up all night and still work today because I am so proud of the Republican Party for putting steps in place to make sure that there were no illegals voting, that everybody that voted were citizens and had a right to vote. There was no cheating. And the Republican Party came together as a whole and did what they needed to do. And it has been a long time of suffering with fake news and lies on the media. Mm-hmm. And it's just awesome. Well, I love you guys for everything you guys have done just to help the Republican Party, because we are back on top. And I'm telling you that I've been without sleep today, but had the best day of my life.
All right, Kimberly, I'm glad, there are a lot of people who are feeling pretty enthusiastic and very positive about what has happened. As for the cheating stuff, I don't know whether or not, but I will say this, the Republican Party was really good this time in laying the groundwork for having, people in place on the ground, ready to go. If anything even minor popped up, they were there and got it resolved within very short order. They had a plan, and it worked. And yeah, there were a few things that popped up here and there, and the Republicans were just not having it this time. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people realize that, it was important to make sure that this election went off, as flawlessly as possible. Was it perfect? There's never been a perfect election, but I feel pretty good about this one. I don't know that we're going to find anything to complain about with a win like this one. Tim in Lebanon, you're up with Brian on The Drive. Why did he win? Why did she lose?
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me on. I think there's several reasons why he won. I do agree with your previous callers. The economy is a big one. But for me, I feel like one of the biggest reasons is the left has woke up us country folk. The rural vote. The rural vote came out this year like it's never come out.
I agree.
And, the left has gone from feeling like we did, where I'm going to live my life, you live your life. If we don't agree, we don't agree. To the fact that if you don't agree with me, you're a deplorable piece of garbage Nazi. And that has made a lot of people mad. A lot of conservatives not happy about that. I'm one of them. Hey, you live your life your way, I'm going to live my life my way. But when you start telling me that me living my life my way is wrong and it's not allowed and you're going to do everything you can to not allow it anymore, that's when we're going to have a problem. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
rural America woke up.
Yeah, I think you have got a lot on the ball there, Tim. I think I agree with almost everything you said there. The thing I would say is that, as I sort of observed last night, Democrats have a tendency when they get the levers of power to just go too far, to just take it to the nth degree, and push well beyond what is mainstream thought. The power brokers in the Democrat Party are way left of mainstream political thought in America. And I think they always want to push, well, let's get it while we can. And, I hope that we resist that urge. I mean, look, there's some things that need to be corrected. Don't get me wrong. I'm in favor of rolling back a lot of the nonsense that we've been through. But you know what? When you at least consider that there are other opinions out there, it doesn't alienate people quite as much. And I hope that what we do is roll back the things that we feel like, try to make some adjustments to get the economy back on track and stop this stuff about women having to compete against men in the sports arena and a lot of that crazy stuff. Just get that stopped. But then, acknowledge that there are people in America who have different opinions. I may not agree with them, but they're not evil just because they hold these opinions. And let's see if we can maybe, have a less strident America is perhaps the word I'm looking for. Al, and I believe it's Sladen. Al, you're on with Brian. Your thoughts. Why did she lose and why did he win?
Okay, well, I think she lost because she was their last place candidate in the primaries, and they thought they could leapfrog her to first and win. I think it's poor judgment on the Democrats, period.
In other words, she was just a weak candidate from the beginning.
Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't see it. It's obvious.
Yeah.
She was in over her head from the beginning.
Yep. And why do you think he won? What was the thing that drove him to victory?
Well, immigration, inflation, Iran and Israel, and God spared him.
Yep. Okay, Al, thank you so much. Ray in Castilian Springs, you're up with Brian on the drive. Your thoughts on this?
Hey, Brian, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing great, too. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. The reason I think that Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party lost is the same reason they lost in 2020. No one in America wants all the guys in the women's bathroom and the men playing on women's sports, and nobody here wants that. That we're not supposed to live like that. And everybody knows it. So you get past that. He won in 2020, but now in 2024 we had to just prove it to them. They weren't able to take it. So. That's my opinion on it. Trump's awesome. I'm happy for America.
All right, Ray, thank you so much. I got time for one more. Let's go to Heather in Nashville. Heather, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say?
Well, I think she lost because, she never would answer any questions. She was just an airhead. That was her problem. Bad choice on their part. And, I think he won because he brought in so many people of different that didn't all think alike. He brought in Elon Musk. He got RFK, I think, was a huge one. There were so many people that loved RFK, and I think that pulled him on that side. And just seeing how much they had tried to tear him down and how he just kept going and going. And I think that finally the Christian vote came out maybe stronger than before. Because the issues were so important, to save the country.
Yep, I think all those are very valid points. Heather, thank you so much. Okay, look, great stuff. I'm going to keep the phone lines open a lot during the show here today. But in just a minute, I'll come back. I have some thoughts that I want to share. And a little bit later in this hour, with everything going well, we expect to be having a conversation with Pete Hegseth, who's been out there doing election coverage for Fox News, get his thoughts on everything. Right now, 20 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Well, we don't have to wait to start taking our country back. We can get in the fight right now with Coin, the conservatives' credit card. Instead of funneling millions to the left like other cards, Coin advances conservative values and charities. Earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. That's COIGN.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Vice President Kamala Harris concedes the election. Governor Lee and other leaders pushing another school voucher plan. These stories and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. There in the newsroom, there he is, the bearded wonder, the man who gives us all the news that is fit to discuss. It's Ken Weaver. Good afternoon to you, Ken.
Good afternoon, Brother Brian.
You had a late night. How you feeling? Everything good?
Yeah, I feel good. I actually went home and tried to lay down immediately, and then immediately got right back up.
Yeah, I was too amped up. I couldn't go to. I got home and things were breaking and it was happening, and then Trump was going to come out, and I got home. Cabana wife had been out at the event there in Wilson County, and she got home ahead of me to take care of the dog, and she was splayed out on the couch. She was dead to the world.
Yeah.
And so I just sat there and watched it until it was I don't know, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I went to bed and I was just like, bang, wide awake. I just could not go to sleep. So.
Well, you'd been going since 2 o'clock.
Well, and there might have been a couple of 5-hour energy drinks involved in that. I'm not going to say that it really happened, but it might have been that a couple of those got drunk over the course of the night. It was just, when you really do amp up for these big nights, my mind was just racing, and so I don't think I got but about 2.5, 3 hours of sleep last night, if that. And Chris was telling me that he went home and actually, because he has no life, watched us on Super Talk TV.
Yeah, I had you guys up on the big screen at home until about 11 o'clock. And, then it got to the point where it seemed like Georgia and Pennsylvania were just kind of dragging and dragging.
When in the world were they going to drop? Yeah.
This is never going to happen tonight. So I just ended up going to bed and,
Yeah, I was
wrong.
I like how the mainstream. I was flipping from to ABC, CBS, and NBC, and all three networks were making it clear we have not called this election yet.
Yeah, I know.
But I kept wondering, well, where are they going to find like 5 million votes?
Oh, they're digging.
They just couldn't bring themselves. I saw a headline this morning when I got up, or I guess it was last night. I was looking, well, how are the other, I was watching Fox, and they called these things pretty, I think, responsibly and pretty early, and the others just could not bring themselves to do it. And there was a headline on the website for CNN saying, Trump reaches the 270 mark. But they couldn't say that he had won.
No.
Yeah, I saw that graphic. It shows the 272 or whatever it was, but they still say, but it's still too close. And
it was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And, they just couldn't bring themselves. And, there was a lot of crocodile tears on CNBC and other places. They were just, weeping and moaning. But you know what? The honest truth is I hope that we as conservatives, I think this is true of conservatives, that we'll be gracious in victory. I've always said, we need to be good sports. Now, let's be honest about it. The Democrats at times are not good sports. They really aren't. But I would like to think that the difference between us and them is that we are gracious in our victory. And it was a hell of a victory. I mean, as it stands right now, I haven't looked in the last few minutes. I'll check during the break. But Fox has not called Nevada, Arizona, or Alaska.
Okay.
I think they did call Alaska.
Did they call Alaska? Well, then that would put it at about 295. But he's leading in both Nevada and Arizona. And that will put it, if everything goes, it'll be 312 electoral college votes. Now, I had it at 287, so I really missed it. I was way too conservative. But I'm telling you, I did not imagine that he would pull down the blue wall, winning all 3 Rust Belt states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And I think there's some interesting stuff. I've looked at a lot of data today. What was it? It's just basically the entire country shifted to the right.
I got to ask you, Brother Brian, who steps up to lead the Democratic Party now?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question.
I mean, has Obama ever relinquished it?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Look, I think Obama was behind Kamala a lot. I think that was a lot what was going on behind the scenes was that it was still Obama pulling the reins of the party, who stepped in and told Joe, "You've got to step aside, and we're gonna run her." And this loss, to some degree, would then be on him. For choosing someone who was not a great candidate. She was better than Hillary, but she wasn't, all of that in a bag of chips. And really, I think most people realized that she's just being a little deceptive with us, Yeah. She's saying things that we know she doesn't believe. She's been on record. I will never support fracking. Well, unless I need the votes in Pennsylvania, then all of a sudden I'll vote for it. People saw right through that as for what it was. Right. That she would say whatever she needed to get it, but they didn't trust her to stand by it once she actually got into office. And so I think they realized that, she was just not going to be straightforward with them and then wouldn't answer questions.
Yeah.
Trump, almost answers questions too much sometimes.
Yes.
He gets into a press conference and it goes 3 hours, and you go, all right, we've heard everything that is on your mind. We need to move on now. But that's his way. I'll answer the questions till the cows come home.
Yep.
And I like that as somebody who likes public officials to be, forthcoming with what they believe. I like that. But the stark difference between those two types of candidates could not have been more different. Well, listen, we're going to take a break here and go to news. Pete Hegseth, we hope it will be on the other side. Right now, it is 31 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Vice President Kamala Harris in her concession speech today.
While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
Says she congratulated former President Trump, now President-elect Donald Trump, says she'll work with him on a peaceful transfer of power. Here in Tennessee, Governor Lee and legislative leaders are pushing another school voucher plan. The Education Freedom Act of 2025 gives $7,000 per student, $2,000 bonuses to all teachers, among other things. And in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell outlined when you'll start seeing parts of the 15-year Choose How You Move transit plan implemented.
The program's also designed to build on itself so that the improvements you see in year one then expand and work even better together in year two, and that by year 5 you start to really see, I think, some of those service level improvements.
That half-penny sales tax increase to help fund the project starts in February. Money News, Dave Packer.
Donald Trump's win sent stocks on a tear, with the former and future president promising a slew of corporate tax cuts and deregulation. The Dow up 1,508 points, its biggest single-day gain since 2022. The Nasdaq gained 544 points. The S&P 500 up 146 points. It wasn't all rosy on Wall Street. Companies that stood to benefit from green energy policy promoted by Democrats, including those in clean energy and electric vehicles, fell sharply. That is, with the exception of Tesla. With the founder Elon Musk now cozy with Donald Trump, Tesla shares surged 14%. The promise of Trump administration deregulation sent bank stocks soaring. Shares of J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and Goldman Sachs all up between 11 and 12%. Holders of Bitcoin benefited from the Trump victory, one Bitcoin climbing above $75,000, up 8%, a new record high. The Fed expected to cut interest rates again tomorrow. The Street expecting it'll be by 0.25%.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got a vehicle fire. This is going to be 24 westbound right there at mile marker 54. The westbound right lane is blocked. So is the right shoulder. Now moving north of downtown, 24 westbound. We still got that multi-vehicle crash. That is blocking the westbound left shoulder there in Whites Creek. And you've got the usual bumper-to-bumper brake tapping going on getting out of the downtown area. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, let's talk about King Insurance, King and Associates Insurance in Brentwood, an independent agency. They've been around for over 25 years. And listen, an independent agency is exactly what you want. Now, I'm going to tell you why. If you go to some of these big box internet stores that sell insurance, you're going to go and you're going to get the one product they offer and they're going to shove it down your throat and take it or like it. You can leave it. That's not the way to do business. At King and Associates Insurance, they'll shop around. They don't have to be just giving you one option. They can give you a number of options. You can look at it and say, well, this one really fits my need. And when you find insurance that fits your need, what you're doing is you're getting more bang for your insurance buck. You're getting better insurance for less money. And that is the goal, especially as expensive as insurance is these days. All right, 615-329-8121. Call that number. You don't get a call center. You don't get a phone tree. You don't get a recording that's saying your call is important to us when obviously you know it's not. You'll get an actual human being. What a concept. Multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35%, huge savings possible. So get your royal review with King and Associates Insurance. Just log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance and Associates. You'll get royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, You put this in a crock pot. You put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there. You put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It is 39 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. It is that time on Wednesdays when we're lucky that we get to talk to Pete Hegseth, who is a host of Fox and Friends on the weekend, and he does myriad other things there. I mean, he's a busy guy. You can't look up at Fox and not see him. I mean, I think maybe there'd be a clone of him or something. I mean, you're everywhere, Pete.
But I maybe a little bit, but I'm a happy man today, Brian.
Well, I can only imagine that you were. In our own, our urgency to cover the election last night, I didn't quite find out exactly where you were. Where were you yesterday, and where are you now?
We were at Kid Rock's Honky Tonk down on Broadway in Nashville.
Oh, wow, that's great.
We broadcast Fox Nation from there last night, and then we did about 4.5 hours live, and then and after that we shut the bar down, watching the returns until they called it. So it was a celebration.
Quite a great place to hang out. So your thoughts about how it all unfolded? I mean, I thought there for a while. Are they ever? I know that the Fox decision room, they take this very seriously. But were they ever going to call Georgia? Were they ever going to call Pennsylvania? And then things started to fall.
It was, Brian, it was stunning. It was stunning. It was political history before our eyes. We discussed this. I told you, I think last week, I thought he would win, but I didn't think we'd get a call on election night. I thought we'd have a really good indication. And for a while, that's what it felt like it would be. Hey, we'll have a good indication that Trump's probably going to win. But then you just started watching, and the margins just weren't there, and the votes left just weren't there, and the exit polls were terrible for Harris. And yeah, there was that moment where it lingered for a good hour, 90 minutes. But once they called Georgia, that was big. I did not see the Pennsylvania call coming. That one really rocked it. And then when there were 3 electoral votes left, me and everybody else are screaming at the television going, just call Alaska. Alaska's no way. And and eventually it was Wisconsin. But I think they were prudent, rightfully so. But when it was clear that the call, and so we got that decision, and it was something else. Incredible.
Yeah. I know people were very excited, and they still are excited. And I've been very pleased with the way America has responded. I mean, clearly there are people in America who are very disappointed and a bit bitter. But you know what? It's been a calm day.
I think we discussed this too. It was very much, especially from our point of view, the best of both worlds. It was a big Trump win, and it was a clear victory. And I really haven't heard anything from the other side, to their credit, attempting to dispute it. I'm not even hearing, the Russian interference nonsense that we've heard in the past. I'm sort of waiting for whatever their narrative. There will be a narrative. The question is what it is and how long it takes for them to unfold what it is. Right now, it's your typical finger pointing. But, I mean, winning the popular vote by 5 million votes, that's incredible.
I know
no one had that on their bingo card. And so
this is history.
Runaway victory.
Yeah, it's a history in the making. I think when we look back at it, my personal opinion is, we often see the pendulum swing back and forth, especially among people in the middle, from the left to the right. Sometimes they swing left, sometimes they swing right. And it seems that if you look at some of the polling data and the way I've seen it shown up on graphs, almost every category shifted to the right. And that may have been it. But I also think a lot of credit has to go to the RNC for having a much, much better ground game this time around than they have had in the past. What's your sense of it?
Big time, Brian. I mean, I think the three fundamentals remain the same. The last one that you just mentioned probably being as important as the others. I mean, the candidate set was the right one for Donald Trump. The economy, immigration, it was all there. He's talking about the right things, meeting people where they're at. And then you've got a historically horrific candidate in Kamala Harris. But the third aspect was the RNC had their stuff together. And especially on legal challenges day of, in places like Philadelphia where they were trying to say, hey, you can't have Republican poll watchers. That's the kind of mindset that blows my mind.
And they got that straightened out in about an hour, it seemed like. Yeah.
They got it straightened out in an hour. And that gives me confidence that the vote is fair. It means they're following the law. It means had it not gone in our direction, I would have had more confidence that it was fair. And those are all good things. We want our system to work. I'm glad my guy won, but the system's got to work too. So big kudos and credit to the RNC for what they did.
So, what is your great hope now? Look, the Senate, it's clearly going to be in Republican hands. We haven't yet made a determination about the House. It's looking okay. But it's too early to call, but we could well have all three bodies of government. What is your great hope here?
Well, my great hope outstanding is the House of Representatives, for sure. I don't want a mandate of a win for Trump and then a 4-seat majority in the Senate. It's a big majority for the Senate. It's a Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins proof majority, right? Like a real Republican majority could do real things. It looks like right now it's a 3-seat majority, could be 4, maybe even 5. But if we've got to we've got to deal with Hakeem Jeffries gunking up the mix on everything, then it's really going to be a slog. So a lot of the races look pretty good. We're talking 50 to 70,000 vote differences in some of these House races or less, but most trending toward Republicans. So that's my big hope. And then I hope he runs a transition process that makes clear what his priorities are, picks people that are true believers in his administration, capable in those departments, not trying to undermine him or rein him in, and they just stick to what he's, remember when Bannon had his whiteboard and all the tech promises that he made and they wanted to keep them? It's time to just get it done, and I think he will.
Yeah, I'm wondering what exactly Elon Musk will do. I mean, he apparently wants to apply his special brand of intellect, which I think we can all agree is formidable, to the idea of bringing efficiency to government. And, he thinks outside the box in that regard. And, boy, if we ever needed that, this would be the time for it. Do you think he can have a real impact on changing government to make it more efficient?
Brian, you're asking all the right questions. If anyone can do it, it's the Tony Stark of our generation, Elon Musk, right? This is the guy, right? But what he's going to find, and I'm not saying he can't. He might be able to do it. Is that changing the Department of the Treasury or Commerce or Interior is a lot different than firing 90% of Twitter, renaming it and making it your own. You can do that in the private sector. In the government sector, the roadblocks to actual change are monumental. So they're going to have to get obviously constitutionally novel, constitutionally smart about ways that they can reduce waste. But I think, what? I mean, let's give him a shot. Let him go. And I think the question will be when Trump gets blowback for tough stances that Elon Musk is going to take, he's willing to take that incoming. Because there's only so much rope I think he'll give. And how that give and take works out will matter a lot.
But, I mean, he's in that position, honestly, that it's, I think, in some way is enviable, and that he can't run again. He can stand in the well and just and do, try to push as hard as he possibly can because he doesn't have to worry about, I got to get reelected. Now, J.D. Vance would have to worry about that a bit, but he doesn't have to. So he can push hard.
It's true. And look, I mean, Brian, before COVID hit, before the China virus, he was cruising to re-election because his policies were popular. He had delivered on what he said he was going to do. It's almost, hey, let's just get back to work doing what you're doing, cut some taxes, lower regulations, get rid of the Department of Education, resecure our border, stop the nonsense around the world so we're respected again, and bring manufacturing back to our country. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. If those things happen and they're tied to Republicans, that's generational affiliation to a political party for working class people who say, my life was changed. I'm making real money. I'm making more than I ever have. And it's because Donald Trump was elected. You seize on those sweet spot issues. And this doesn't have to be a one-term presidency. This could be a 12-year presidency with J.D. Vance or whomever right behind him riding along the tsunami.
Yeah, and J.D. Vance is going to be very interesting as a vice president. I think somebody to watch. Somebody asked me a question, and I really didn't have a good answer for it. It was, who do the Democrats turn to now? Who is? I mean, obviously, it seems like to me that Barack Obama was still pulling the strings here. But honestly, after this sort of embarrassing defeat, if he was indeed the puppet master, who do they turn to? Who is the rising star? I have a hard time thinking of one.
I know it's definitely not Kamala Harris. So she just gave her last significant speech ever in her concession speech. I can tell you who it is, and you can take this to the bank. When we 2 years from now, when the primary starts, I'll tell you who the lead horse is going to be, and his name is Wes Moore, and he's the governor of Maryland. And he is smart, articulate, military background. He's done written books. He's just, I think, Ivy League guy and beloved by the institutional media inside New York. I know a little bit about him because I was in the vet sphere when he was talking about some of that. He's going to be good. He's going to be formidable. I think he's the kind of guy. I mean, you could look at Josh Shapiro. You could look at Gretchen Whitmer, but there's a lot of angst about Whitmer and others. I think Wes Moore could kind of paint a picture of who he is in a favorable way. I'm not saying I want him to because he's a lib, but I think he's the type of guy, kind of like Obama, who could come in and say, "Hey, I'm a new generation. Turn the page for real." So keep your eye on Wes Moore in Maryland.
He sort of came to everybody's view when that ship hit the bridge in Baltimore. He was there. He's very good on camera. He's quite a good communicator. He's you're right. He would be formidable. I think he just needs to increase his sort of his ability to be known by people because nobody really knows who he is. But he's got time to do that.
They'll do that for him. Yeah, they'll do that. They'll run a full-on. See what they did for Kamala in 100 days. They did the best they could. You do it with somebody with enough runway, he'll be known. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, what's on tap for you now at the election? Are you going to take some time off or?
Non-stop celebration, Brian, until Inauguration Day.
All right.
No, I'm not taking any time off. We're just continuing to do our job, tell the story, like you.
All right, man. Listen, thank you so much. It's always good to have you on the show when you have them on.
Very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Brian.
It's 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Vice President Kamala Harris concedes Nashville's mayor wasting no time on his voter-approved sales tax increase to fund a transit plan. That's coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. And when we come back here after the break and after the news, we are going to move into sort of a recap of where we are in case you've been at work all day. You want to know what's happened since you went to work. I'll have all the details and where we are. It's a good day for our side, and we will celebrate that. And then I'm going to open up the phone lines yet again. This is a day where I want to hear from you a lot. What is your greatest hope for the second Trump administration? I will open the phone lines after we do that first segment. So get your thoughts together. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Brand new shipments are arriving every day at Genesis Diamonds. Rare, precious, natural diamonds straight from the overseas diamond cutters. Rounds, princess cuts, ovals, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, every shape, every size, each one handpicked by Genesis owner Boaz Ramon. Now, people here know that when it comes to diamonds, that is what Genesis does best. Rock bottom prices on the rock you want. Exquisite quality, extreme value, and on top of that, Genesis has the designer rings that other jewelry stores just don't have. Genesis has cornered the market on the top brands in bridal design, names like Tacori and Verragio, so you can get a ring that she will really be proud of. And no other jeweler gives you the experience of Genesis Diamonds, with no commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk whatsoever. They are committed to your happiness and your repeat business, so they go out of their way to make sure you leave with nothing but smiles. Genesis Diamond, where you get the respect you deserve, the quality you want, and the value you need every day. Check them out, Green Hills and Cool Springs, the official jeweler of the Titans.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Vice President Kamala Harris conceding to President-elect Donald Trump.
To everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves.
Trump posted a better-than-expected showing among voters in the 7 key battleground states, including the must-win state of Pennsylvania. ABC News exit polling shows Trump performed well with union households and minorities. Exit polling showed that the economy top of mind for a large percentage of the electorate. Here in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell wasting no time now that voters have green-lighted a sales tax increase to help pay for the Choose How You Move transit plan he says will make life better and more affordable through more sidewalks, improving traffic signals, expanding the bus system to 24/7 with transfer stations across Metro.
Today, we'll get really moving on an issue that impacts us all, no matter where you live in the city or what you earn. And we're moving forward together. Thank you, Nashville, for your trust. While we've been talking about this for a long time, our congestion has been building. The price to fix it has gotten more expensive, along with the cost of living.
It's a 15-year plan, but the mayor says you can expect to start seeing some initial changes like sidewalks and upgraded traffic signals within a year. And right now in Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee and legislative leaders announcing another run at school vouchers. The Education Freedom Act of 2025 will provide 20,000 scholarships for Tennessee students, about 7,000 per student, starting in the 2025-2026 school year. And make sure no money is taken away from public K through 12 through disenrollment, according to the governor. Strong Santa Ana winds in Southern California, fueling a number of wildfires across the area. The Pacific Coast Highway shut down near Malibu. A little ways up the coast in Ventura County, evacuations are underway, and we understand some injuries. And a new hurricane is in the Gulf and hitting portions of Cuba today. Hurricane Rafael, a Cat 3 storm, bringing deteriorating conditions to portions of Florida. We get more from ABC News senior meteorologist Melissa Griffin.
Tropical storm force winds, especially in gusts, are also expected in the lower and middle Florida Keys. That begins later today and lasts through tonight. A couple of tornadoes can't be ruled out either in the Keys into southwestern Florida mainland.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, checking up here at Whites Creek. Looks like that accident has been cleared. 24 westbound after Old Hickory Boulevard, but it's still stop and go from Briley Parkway. Going to take a little time for things to get back up to speed there. We've got 24 eastbound at Medical Center Parkway. This is in Murfreesboro. That crash is blocking the right two lanes there, 24 eastbound at Medical Center. And then back up here to Nashville, I-40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane. A crash is blocking the right shoulder. Also in Antioch, 24 westbound after Harding Place, there's a car on fire, and it's blocking the right two lanes. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by.
And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Well, that was President Trump last night talking to his supporters when it became clear that he would become the next president of the United States. History was made on so many different levels. An amazing turnout of conservatives and people who had shifted to the right who wanted to support Donald Trump. And it's a huge victory. I mean, right now, we're at 292. You need 270, of course, to secure the presidency. And it looks like before it's over, I haven't looked in the last little bit, but last time I checked, he may well have well over 300 electoral votes, maybe somewhere around 312. If that happens, I'm telling you, that's huge. That's a landslide, no matter how you paint it. It was too big to rig. And today, Kamala Harris acknowledged the victory and gave her concession speech that was preceded by a phone call to Donald Trump. She says basically, in a second or two, that sort of sum it up. She says, "Look, here's the deal. We're going to do everything we can to make it a peaceful transition of power." And then she told her supporters, "Listen, we may not have won, but I want you to continue to stand up for the things that we have fought for in this campaign." And now she becomes sort of an asterisk in history. We don't remember the people who lose. We remember the people who win. And she will go on to be one of those politicians in a few years nobody remembers. Giving her concession speech was hard. She still has one more really, really hard day ahead of her, and that will be the day, January 6th, when she has to certify the elections as vice president. But it looks like a lot of things have gone Donald Trump's way. Before we get out of here tonight, I'm going to be reading you some stories that suggest that a lot of his legal problems are now going to sort of evaporate. So there is that. But it was a huge victory. And Americans have spoken in an overwhelming way that they want change. It's a repudiation of the 4 years of Biden and Harris. And now we have what I consider to be one of the most dangerous periods in the whole election process. We have a lame duck president who has shown a penchant for doing things without going to Congress. And, they're going to take a lot of watching between now and January 20th. But that's all right. I got plenty of time to watch them. I'll watch them for you. You watch them too, right? All right, so let's go through it, and let me give you some of the other news of the day. One of the remarkable things about Donald Trump's win is that he didn't just win Pennsylvania. He won all 3 of the blue wall states. He won in Michigan, he won in Wisconsin, and he won in Pennsylvania. That is a huge thing. To get one is all he needed, really. Honestly, he probably needed Pennsylvania, but to get all 3 is remarkable. Still outstanding on Fox's look at the election board are Nevada and Arizona. Nevada has Trump leading. Last time I looked, 51.7 to 46 with 89%. I'm sure it's changed a little. Real Clear Politics has Arizona leading with Trump with 63% of the votes called. It seems like those states will eventually be awarded to Donald Trump. And in the Senate, we have picked up 3 seats, and that means that we have undisputed control of the Senate. The House is still a matter under consideration. Those races, it depends on who you look at. I like to look at, for House races, I like to look at thehill.com. That's sort of more their backyard. They focus on that, and they're real experts at it. They have basically at 210 now. To have control of that particular body, you need to have all 218 votes. So we're 8 votes away. We're getting 8 seats away from having control of the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. It will that it's looking really, really good. An undisputed win. You don't hear much talk about, oh, they cheated. We need to challenge that in court. It's been remarkably calm in America today. Many people were worried about what the reaction might be from the left, but so far, it has been relatively quiet, and I think we are headed for what seems like a very predictable transition of power between now and January 20th. Trump last night said he believes that that assassination attempt sort of changed his thinking. And he believes that, as many people do, that God has spared him for other things.
Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission. The task before us will not be easy, but I will bring every ounce of energy, spirit, and fight that I have in my soul to the job that you've entrusted to me. This is a great job. There's no job like this. This is the most important job in the world.
What went right for Trump? Here's pollster Mark Penn.
Well, I think this means a lot to a lot of people. I think the working class are looking for a renewal of American jobs. I think people are looking for a border that is sane and an immigration system that works. I think a lot of people over in the Middle East are looking for Iran to pull back in the face of a president whom they fear. And, look, I think it's going to be incumbent on the Democratic Party to understand that the people have spoken and to dissemble and dismantle this lawfare system that they have built up here, which is going to raise a whole series of questions that are going to have to be answered now. But they cannot say that they are better than Donald Trump and recreate a system that does not recognize that he won and the people have spoken and he is going to be the 47th president.
Yeah, the Justice Department, according to NBC News, the officials there have been evaluating how to wind down the 2 federal criminal cases against President-elect Donald Trump before he takes office to comply with the long-standing department policy that a sitting president cannot be prosecuted, according to 2 people familiar with the matter talking to NBC News. The latest discussions stand in contrast with the pre-election legal posture of special counsel Jack Smith, who in recent weeks took significant steps in the election interference case against Trump without regard to the electoral calendar. But the sources say DOJ officials have come to grips with the fact that no trial is possible anytime soon in either the January 6th case or the classified documents matter, both of which are mired in legal issues that would likely prompt an appeal all the way to the Supreme Court, even if Trump had lost the election. Now that Trump will become president again, DOJ officials see no room to pursue either criminal case against him and no point in continuing to litigate them in the weeks before he takes office, the sources have told, again, NBC News. How Trump's legal jeopardy has unfolded over the past years in terms of both the criminal charges and his sweeping election victory is unprecedented. The sources said it will be up to Smith to decide exactly how to unwind the charges, and many questions remain unanswered. So could the prosecutions resume after Trump leaves office, or would they be time barred? What happens to the evidence? What are the other 2 defendants charged with helping Trump hide classified? What about them? Will special counsel write a report, as special counsels sometimes do? All those issues require study and research. From the Washington Times, Trump's legal jeopardy is about to evaporate in the criminal cases. President-elect Donald Trump's big victory is not only a historic return to the White House, it likely spells the end of 4 long-running criminal prosecutions of him by the Biden Justice Department and the Democrat state prosecutors. In the most immediate case, Trump faces sentencing on November 26th on his felony convictions in New York for falsifying business records, but Supreme Court Judge Juan Merchan in the state of New York was unlikely to give Trump jail time on that and must now decide whether to proceed at all during a presidential transition. Democrats had hoped that one or more of the prosecutions against Mr. Trump would derail his re-election bid. Now his status as president-elect means he will soon be overseeing the Justice Department. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise on Wednesday called for the termination of the criminal cases against Trump just hours before he became president-elect. The people have spoken. The lawfare, he said, must end. Mr. Scalise, Louisiana Republican, wrote on X, I call on Attorney General Garland and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg and Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis to immediately terminate the politically motivated prosecutions of President Donald Trump. I think that would be the appropriate thing to do here. I mean, after all, the people have spoken. They knew about this, and they have made their choices known through the ballot box. Time to let this stuff go away. Time to move on, and we'll see what happens there. But it sounds like good news in that regard for the 45th and now 47th president of the United States of America. All right, look, this is a day where I want to spend a lot of time hearing from you. I want to hear what's on your mind. So, going to break a little early. Phone lines are open at 615-737-9986. The question that I want you to answer, what is your greatest hope for a second Trump term? 615-737-9986. We're headed to a second term. What is your hope? What do you want to see accomplished? What is at the top of your list? Right now, we'll call it 18 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Hey, are relatives coming to your house for Thanksgiving dinner? Let Busy Bee help by ensuring your home is in-law and relative ready. They have a limited number of 14 SEER 1.5 to 3 ton split heat pumps for only $6,995. Includes labor, equipment, material, and warranty. This system offers a great balance of energy efficiency, performance, and year-round comfort for residential homes. How about a $750 discount on upright tanked water heaters with a circulation kit or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning? Whatever level you get, they'll go to the next one for free. Lastly, give a free Beehive membership to your in-laws. You must have a Beehive membership to qualify for the additional free Beehive membership for your in-laws. Busy Bee is bringing families together. So for satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Kamala Harris concedes. Governor Bill Lee is making another run at school vouchers, and firefighters in Southern California fighting 100-mile-per-hour winds, fueling devastation. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, it is 23 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. I want to open up the phone line, 615-737-9986. What is your greatest hope for a second Trump term? Any other thoughts that you have about the elections last night? Start with Rick in Columbia. Rick, you're on with Brian on the drive. Your thoughts?
Very simple for me, Brian. My hope is for a return to common sense and sanity, in which our nation is starving for, my friend.
Yeah, I think they are. I think it's been a for many of us, it's been hard to watch what has happened over the course of the last 3.5, almost 4 years.
It's been hard, and it's been heartbreaking as well, my friend.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. James in Nashville, you're up next on the drive. What is your thought and what is your hope for the second Trump term?
Well, Mr. Wilson, my hope for the second term is probably like most Americans, economics, get the economy back going again, to where it's going to help everybody out, as well as just like the previous caller, common sense, get back to some level-headed policies that work for everybody. I did have one quick question for you, though, and maybe you could enlighten me with your answer. Looking at last election's numbers compared to this year's, where did the 20 million voters go? Did they just disappear? And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Well, I want to do some analysis of that, and quite frankly, I've just been too exhausted today to do any detailed analysis that involves numbers. But my sense of it is that there was a lack of enthusiasm on the other side of the equation. I mean, I think it really was. Our side, very enthusiastic. Their side, not very. But let me take that question and try to look at it and give you a better answer as we go forward. I want to give you a more accurate answer. Marie in Nashville, hey, you're up with Brian on the drive. What is your hope for a second Trump term?
Hi, Brian. Love your show. My hopes, the number one thing is safety. Safety for my family, my community, the United States, all of us. Safety first. My hope is that for the healthy foods, I'm totally into that. I'm excited about that. I think it's about time that we start putting some research and get some of these poisons out of our foods that aren't even allowed in other countries. And another thing I just wanted to share with all the smart, we have the smartest listeners. We really do. We're so blessed. Yesterday, I went to a couple of different polling areas, and I actually voted with my daughter, and it was a great moment. It was the first time she was able to vote.
Yeah.
But I went to a couple of different voting places around about 5 to 6 o'clock, and what I noticed is there were lots and lots of 25 to 35-year-old men, like big, burly, construction type, hardworking men in lots of trucks, pulling up, getting out, and serious face, and going in and voting. Mm-hmm. And this was at multiple places that I witnessed this. And this was around, like I say, it started about 5 o'clock, pulling in their trucks, getting out, and they were young. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. But that's my hope, is first is safety, and to make the next thing would be to make the grocery prices affordable for all of us. I know a lot of us are literally just hanging on, and we need some help.
All right, Marie, thank you so much. I appreciate those thoughts. I'm going to get one more in, then we'll take a break. Jeff in Brentwood, you're on with Brian on the drive.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm well.
To speak with you. Just two things. I feel today like my faith is renewed and restored, and I almost feel like I've gotten out of a dark, claustrophobic closet that I've been in. And it was such a relief to sit at home and realize that there were millions and millions and millions of other people who felt that exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
And my only regret last night is that I wasn't at your place to help run up your bar tab. But my true hope is for restoration on every level, be that economic, spiritual, security, and safety. And my hope is restoration and that we return to a place that we deserve to be in America.
All right. Listen, thank you very much. Deep thoughts there, Jeff. I greatly appreciate it. We'll call it 28 minutes past the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Election 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris concedes to President-elect Donald Trump. She wanted to assure her supporters, a lot of them shocked, despaired, angry, some of them in tears there on the campus of Howard University. She said it's not a time to throw up your hands. It's rather a time to roll up sleeves and not give up on what she says the campaign fought for.
Where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do.
Well, Trump posted a better-than-expected showing among voters in the 7 key battleground states. And ABC News exit polling showed Trump performed well with union households and minorities, and the economy was top of mind. Selena Wang, what say you?
The Democratic Party, they're going to have to do a lot of soul searching because this election has shown critical coalitions move to the right, especially when it comes to Latino voters, when it comes to black voters. And there's a lot of discussion now about how to move forward from here.
Right now in Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee and legislative leaders are making another run at school vouchers. This morning, they announced the Education Freedom Act of 2025. Lee says it will allow every Tennessee family to choose the educational path that best fits their child's needs. Some of the details in this one include making sure state funding to school districts will not decrease due to disenrollment, $2,000 bonuses for every teacher in the state, and 80% of all sports wagering dollars dedicated to building and maintaining K-12 public school facilities. Firefighters in Southern California hard at work containing 2 fires threatening homes and cars in a heavily populated area. The mountain fire in Ventura County already burning several homes. Several people have been hurt. Here's Melissa Adon.
The conditions here are dire. These strong winds are just forcing so much of the smoke and fire to come at us, threatening several homes here in this neighborhood. Red flag warnings will continue through tomorrow, where gusts could reach 100 miles per hour in the mountains. This is the major concern.
Well, the maker of Wegovy and Ozempic sounding the alarm following deaths and hospitalizations from look-alike obesity drugs.
New warnings on the dangers of unapproved versions of weight loss and diabetes drugs. Drug maker Novo Nordisk alerting people after reports that 10 people died and hundreds of others have been hospitalized after using copies of the brand names Wegovy and Ozempic. The company is the only FDA-approved maker of semaglutide. Last month, executives asked the FDA to ban the copycat versions, which soared in popularity due to a shortage of the approved drugs in the U.S. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got crashes to contend with. This one is 440 eastbound at I-65. Metro Police there on the scene. Then in Rutherford County, we've got 24 eastbound at Medical Center Parkway. That is blocking the right lane. TDOT showing that. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, the Wellness Institute of Nashville is where I go because I have a little bit of a back pain and a neck pain, and I believe in the things that they do there. You know, if you have pain in your back, it's pressure on your nerves. You have a couple of choices, surgery or non-invasive spinal decompression. I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and it has worked for me. Their state-of-the-art facilities offer high-tech equipment and the latest non-surgical procedures. And getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, so they're offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine. And listen, here's the thing. If you're a new patient, you go there, you get your exam, your consultation, an x-ray if you need one. They will come up with a plan of treatment, and you will have your first treatment. And all of that will only cost you $23. I'm Brian Wilson. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The festive music means it's time, and boy, I missed it yesterday. The Three Amigos, and as you know, the Three Amigos are in the newsroom. Ken Weaver. Good afternoon, Ken.
Good afternoon, boys. Yes.
And there we have Chris Webber in the control room pushing all the blinky buttons. Good afternoon to you. Yes,
hey,
Chris.
Good afternoon.
What is that? And I am Amigo number 3. Together we make up the Three Amigos. And, you know, the goal of the thing is that we bring, it's sort of like that game that used to be on TV. There are really no rules.
Oh, yeah.
The rules are made up and the points don't count. Yeah, that's right. Whose line is it? Yeah, I love that show. I thought that was a good, fun show. And you know, I actually met some of those guys. Did I ever tell you the story?
No.
When I did a radio TV correspondence dinner for 2,500 of my closest friends. I was the chairman of the organization, and so I had to put on the dinner. And you always provide entertainment. And, you know, I mean, I get tired of the comedians, and they were always controversial, and, you know, musical entertainment really wasn't, you know, sort of what was called for. So I decided I would try to hire a couple of those guys from that show to come in and do what they do, which
Yeah.
is to make up things on the scene. It was phenomenal because they went through the audience and pulled people up and got them involved in their crazy. I was sitting next to George W. Bush, and they had come to me earlier and said, well, tell us where some people are going to be sitting because it's assigned seating. And I said, well, this person will be sitting there and that person will be sitting there. This person, you might have fun. They have a pretty good sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, where is Karl Rove sitting? And I said, well, he'd be sitting right here. I said, okay, thank you. So I was sitting there, doing the thing, and they go into the audience and they go straight for Karl Rove. and Bush goes, they're going for Karl. Oh my gosh, they got Karl. And it was hilarious. And Karl went with it. It was a hilarious bit. Several people that were very much in the news at the time participated, and all good fun. And I kept it a secret because I didn't want people to not come, afraid that they were going to get called up on stage. It was a big hit.
Exactly.
And they were great fun. And I'll always remember that. I still have their phone numbers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who was it? Do you remember?
The older guy, the bald guy, I'm trying to think of his name.
Colin Mockery?
Yeah, Colin Mockery was one of them, and another guy. And they were fantastic. But Colin Mockery has always been the star of that show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't
him
Wayne
and Ryan
Brady on
Stiles.
Ryan Stiles was the other one. That was the other guy.
Big tall guy.
Yeah, and he was good. And so it was a great event, and everybody loved it. But I'll never forget Bush getting so excited when they grabbed Karl out of the audience. Karl Rove.
That's your best W laugh.
I loved W's laugh, man.
Yeah. I'm taking a lot of time here. I'm sorry, but I mean that was a fabulous night. Because I got to sit, you don't often get to sit with the president.
No.
And exchange stories and hear things. And because we share something in common in that we're both from the Odessa Midland area, he grew up there. I was born and raised Odessa. He spent most of his time in Midland, some in Odessa, but mostly in Midland, which is only 20 miles away. We had a lot of things to talk about, and it was fun to sort of get to know him on a more personal level. He's a pretty fun guy. He really was a fun guy at that event. And the only way I could promise that he would go is if I got him home by 10 o'clock. They said, yeah, I'll come, but you got to get me home at 10 o'clock. He called me Mojo.
Mojo.
He called me Mojo. Yeah. Mojo, you got to get me home by 10 o'clock. I said, I'll promise you. He's out the door at 9:58.
Short drive over, right?
Yeah, it's just when you got a motorcade, it doesn't take very long to get back home.
Sir.
All right. Who wants to go?
I'll go.
Okay.
All right. How older Americans are grappling with hanging up their car keys. The first time.
This is a hard conversation to have.
It is. And there's a little bit of advice in this story. The first time Von Seal Gray got behind the wheel of a car, Dwight Eisenhower was president.
Wow.
But despite a clean record with no accidents over the decades that followed, the 85-year-old knew 3 years ago her driving days were over. She says, I went to church one morning. I was a nervous wreck. I think I ran a red light. Says she got home. She said no more. Now, her son happens to be like an expert for helping older Americans and maybe their kids come to this agreement to where it's time to hang up the keys. He worked for AAA for 29 years. His name is Kurt Gray. He helps families navigate the difficult conversation of when a loved one should stop driving. He said the big mistake that families make is they don't start talking about it soon enough. He said whenever you're getting to the point where you're saying, Mom, Dad, I'm seeing these dents and dings on your car.
Yeah.
Maybe we should look at other modes of transportation. By 2030, an estimated 71 million of us will be 65 and older. That's going to account for 21% of the population, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. So you might want to start thinking about that conversation. I know that it can be tough in some families. I remember my dad having to talk to my grandfather.
Yep.
And I don't think that went over well at first, but then unfortunately my grandfather caused a crash.
Yep.
And fortunately, everybody survived, but that's what did it for him.
Yeah, same thing with my mom. Same exact story. And it was hard to have that conversation. I said, Mom, I don't want to be the guy to come in here and take your keys.
Yeah.
But you had a minor accident. It could have been a worse accident. And I said, I want you to think about it.
Right.
And she came to the decision on her own. And it was hard because, she really loved having her independence. But, it's a hard conversation to have.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
my plan is just to get a big truck that I don't care a lot about.
The hell with everybody else. Just get out of my way.
Well, fortunately, my grandfather, he lived in a little bitty town, Stroud, Oklahoma.
Yep, I know where it is now.
And, they didn't live far from downtown Stroud, so he just put a big orange flag on the back of his riding lawnmower. When he needed to go downtown for something, he'd drive that or whatever.
Yeah, the George Jones solution.
Yeah. That's funny.
Go to the liquor store with your mower.
But I haven't really thought about that with my parents. They're getting up there. My mom is already she's already just kind of backed off of driving into Tulsa, that sort of thing. Neither of my parents really like driving into Tulsa anymore. Only place my dad really drives to is he drives a pretty good bit to get to one of his buddies' house, does a lot of fishing with him. And, hopefully my brother and sister handle that, and I don't have to.
My parents are only in their late 60s, and my dad, he does a lot of driving with his job. It's like, 20, 25,000 miles a year he drives. But according to my mom, if you ask her, he should have hung up the keys about 20 years ago.
And he's in his 60s
Yeah,
now.
she's like,
I've got to continue
driving with me.
I've got to continue driving because I cannot ride with Cabana Wife.
Oh, man. Tell me about it.
She drives like a bat out of hell.
I do not like being a passenger, especially when it's my wife behind the wheel. I would rather just drive. Just give me the keys and let me handle it.
Yeah, I
gotta take my 17-year-old son out on the interstate this weekend. I'm not looking forward to it.
No, that's tough stuff.
Son, it's 4:30 in the morning. Come on. Teach you some night driving like 24.
All right, Chris, what do you got?
Well, this one is just wild, and I'm just going to have to read the story because that's the only way to really get the point across. Well, this one comes from the Daily Star out of the UK. A drunk, naked, and poo-covered Brit crashed through the ceiling of an internet cafe.
He's drunk, he's naked, and he's covered in poo.
He's got them all three covered, yeah.
All right, yeah.
Covered, yeah. But he fell through the ceiling of an internet cafe in the notoriously seedy holiday destination of Thailand. He was a 51-year-old tourist, and he plunged through his hotel balcony and was found dangling above a busy internet cafe. Hotel staff said that the Brit could be heard making loud groans and banging about his room before hearing a humongous bang. Moments later, the man's legs were dangling above shocked cafe-goers as he cried for help. Police and paramedics quickly attended the scene and found him in a dazed state, trapped between a couple wooden boards. No one witness saw the guy plummet through the roof, but his crash landing forced some gamers there in the internet cafe to flee due to the stench.
Oh, my Lord.
Now, one of the customers said, at the time, the shop was full, more than 20 people. I was playing video games, and after a while, I heard a thump. Didn't think much of it. After a while, there was another one, and the ceiling started to break, and there were legs coming down right on my head. So I called the staff to come and look.
Golly.
After a while, it seemed like the ceiling was sinking. He said, I ran up to look. I smelled it, but I thought it was a broken water pipe or something. Cops who later checked on the Brit's room were horrified to allegedly find poo smeared across the floor, bed sheets, and blankets. A police lieutenant said the tourist had minor injuries but will be discharged from the hospital and have time to rest and sober up. He says that we have some idea about what he was doing in the room to make it so dirty, but there was nothing illegal.
Good.
He was taken to the hospital, and hopefully he'll sober up and come to his senses. I don't want to know what he was doing in that room.
Yeah, there are things questions, but I don't want the answers.
Just imagine those legs hanging and he's catching a whiff.
That's just gross. Well, my story takes us back to the year 1939. Do you remember this? Yeah, well, in that movie, Dorothy, was wearing ruby slippers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very much a part of the story. The magic
yeah.
ruby slippers that you could click 3 times and take you back to Kansas. Well, apparently there were many in the filming of this movie in 1939. There were many ruby slippers made, and she wore them at different times. You know, I think they probably did several different versions in wardrobe, and now they have become, of course, a much sought after memento from the film, which, of course, is just one of the best films ever made, quite frankly. When you look at the movie special effects in 1939,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, when I look at that tornado coming up the alley, I just go, wow, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Because there wasn't any computer graphics. There wasn't any of that stuff. And, you know, it's really a remarkable film for its time. And, you know, as a kid, I grew up and we watched it. I think they played it every Easter or something. You know, during the Easter weekend, they would play it on the network TV, and we would watch it. And I've watched it many, many times since, and most people have. Well, a pair of ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland are on the auction block about 2 decades after a thief stole the iconic shoes, convinced that they were adorned with real jewels. It's really just sequins, but...
Tell me.
Online bidding has started and will continue through December 7th. A Heritage auction in Dallas announced in a news release on Monday. They received the sequin and bead bedazzled. They're bedazzled, they are, from Michael Shaw, the memorabilia collector who originally owned the footwear at the heart of the beloved 1939 musical. Shaw has loaned the shoes in 2005 to the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. But now he needs the money. He's going to sell them. When they were in Grand Rapids, someone smashed through a display case and stole the slippers. The FBI recovered them in 2018. And now they're trying to, the museum is trying to buy them back from the original owner, who now is in possession of them once again. They've raised $100,000. The man who stole them was a guy named Terry John Martin, 76, and he admitted to using a hammer to smash the glass of the display case in what his attorney said was an attempt to pull off one last score. After an old associate with connections to the mob told him the shoes had to be adorned with real jewels because they were insured for $1 million.
Not that they were in one of the best movies of all time.
Right. No.
Right.
So, I mean, the guy apparently went in and tried to steal and did steal them. They were gone for many years, not knowing where they were.
Wow.
But the FBI was on the case. And when they got them, they said, we're not in Kansas anymore.
There's no place like home.
That's right. 51 minutes past the hour. Grace Point Healthcare provides affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine known for their Smart Care plan, starting at $69 a month. It includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests for that full year. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, and there's no long wait times in the waiting rooms. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. You know, when we get to a certain age, our hormones begin to fluctuate, taking a toll on our lifestyle. Grace Point provides comprehensive hormone testing and treatment for both men and women. It's a military vet-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Here's the number, 599-6868, to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
One of the big questions I get asked from time to time is, how can I get in the conservative fight? Well, it's critical to note where your dollars are going. You may not know it. Most credit cards are funneling millions to the left. But now you have a choice. Coin is America's conservative credit card. You earn cash back while fighting the liberal agenda. Apply now at coin.com. It's spelled a little weird. Here it is. COIGN.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, election 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris at Howard University today conceded to President-elect Donald Trump.
We must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
Trump posted a better-than-expected showing among voters in the 7 key battleground states. An ABC News contributor and a former North Dakota Senator Heidi Heitkamp says Democrats are going to need to rethink their messaging moving forward.
People will say that they don't believe experts anymore. And that a lot of that is tied up with how people feel about science. But what do Democrats say when they want you to believe in their economic message? Oh, 20 Nobel laureates think this is a great idea. Well, people don't care if it's affecting their pocketbook.
ABC News exit polling showed Trump performed well with union households and minorities, and that the economy was top of mind for a large percentage of the electorate. Well, here in Nashville, Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac says Mayor Freddie O'Connell isn't wasting time on his transit sales tax increase victory. Part of the way Metro will pay for 24/7 bus service and transfer station across Metro, among other things.
Starting today, the city is setting up an advisory committee, making sure Nashville neighbors get involved as projects begin.
Today, we'll get really moving on an issue that impacts us all, no matter where you live in the city or what you earn. And we're moving forward together. Thank you, Nashville, for your trust. While we've been talking about this for a long time, our congestion has been building. The price to fix it has gotten more expensive, along with the cost of living.
Now, this is a 15-year plan, but the mayor says we can expect to see some initial changes, such as adding more sidewalks and upgrading the traffic signals within the next year.
A new hurricane in the Gulf hitting portions of Cuba today. Here's ABC News senior meteorologist Melissa Griffin.
Hurricane Rafael has now become a Category 3 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 115 miles per hour as it makes landfall in western Cuba today. It's expected to bring life-threatening storm surge, damaging hurricane-force winds, up to a foot of rain, which would cause flash flooding and mudslides to portions of western Cuba through tonight as it makes its way across the island.
Out west, unrelenting Santa Ana winds causing mandatory evacuations throughout parts of Southern California. Melissa Adon is in Ventura County, where the dangerous wildfire situation is expected to last through Friday.
This is where the mountain fire has exploded. Nearly 10,000 acres. We've seen the flames that are spreading so fast as we've seen flames rip through a hillside, burning so quickly with strong gusts that were forecasted today, about 35 to 55 miles per hour. In some mountainous parts, the forecast is calling for 100-mile-per-hour gusts.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Metro Police busy with a crash right now, 440 eastbound just after Nolensville Pike. Then we've got 24 westbound after Bell Road. 65 northbound at I-840 in Williamson County. Back here closer to Nashville, 65 southbound just after Armory Drive. Down in Rutherford County, we've got a crash reported by police. This will be 24 westbound at Old Fort Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.